this book, again, goes... I mean, first, in issue number 61, we have a long... kind of a... It's Invincible struggling with the realities of being who he is. And, and again, there's a lot of talking here. Some action, but a lot of talking. Again, very interesting talking. Mm-hmm. And then you get to the end, and this dude shows up. What's his name again? Conquest.
Just when Invincible just couldn't think anything could get worse.
Any worse. Because in this book, of course, the world's authorities are trying to put together a superhero team now because they've lost a lot. And right now, they need a superhero team in the event something like this dude, some guy like this dude Conquest can show up.
And this has been something that's been building since issue 1 of Invincible. This guy showing up.
Right.
In this storyline.
Of course, those who might not be familiar with Invincible, he's the son of Omni-Man, who was a hero who was actually on our planet to prepare us for being taken over. Mm-hmm. So what happens? Conquest is there to finish the job. And in issue 62, we get, well...
It's a fucking beatdown.
It is a
brawl.
Fight. It is a real fight.
Man, it is awesome.
And the thing, though, that gets me, if you did not read issue 61, I think a lot of the emotional impact of 62 is kind of going to be lost on you.
Yeah.
You kind of need to read 61 to be able to get 62.
And to go beyond that, I've been reading Invincible since issue 1. And that's the whole point that's one of the main things that I love about it is because Robert Kirkman, like you said, invests so much time into these characters. When Invincible's getting the shit kicked out of him by Conquest, I feel really bad.
Yes,
I'm like,
yes.
Oh my,
yeah.
That's how much I care about this character.
Yeah.
That every punch, like every bruise, every just broken bone, just shit like this. It's so disturbing.
Yes. It's not a vicarious thrill that you're getting from it. You are going, oh my God, this kid is getting the crap beat out of him, and you're really feeling for him. And if anything, the Conquest character is coming across as really, really sadistic,
yes.
Which adds to the emotional impact of the fight. And, what's to be said? I will say this, and this is something that, we don't want to get too much into the fight, but what I really enjoyed, and I finished reading this book, and I mean, I have to exhale afterwards, because the tension is so great. And then I get to the first paragraph of the letters column at the very end of the book, where Robert Kirkman says, from time to time I hear the complaint, it took me 5 minutes to read this issue. And a lot of you might even read this and think the same thing. And Kirkman goes into, and I really kind of wish more artists would do this, go into really explaining why they put the book together the way they did. Because sometimes, for the untrained reader, and especially in today's fast food media types, you'll see a book with lots of splash pages and you'll just go through it and you think, oh, that's it, bam, put it down, move on to your next book. This book is really put together for you to sit there and really go over the artwork and to read it and to take it in, slowly take it in.
Exactly what I told Elliott before we started taping. I can't remember a comic book where I just sat there after I was done reading it and went through it all over again just to look at the art, just back and forth for like 15 minutes. Right. This issue is fucking gorgeous.
It is.
And the whole... And another thing to do with the art and how Kirkman said it was important to show this fight. Again, when you're invested in this character, every single panel, every punch, I mean, everything that happens, it makes you feel something.
Yeah.
And that's why, it only takes you 5 minutes to read the dialogue, but you need to read beyond the dialogue.
Yes.
You need to see the actions and see what is occurring and get emotionally invested in that also.
Because
it's asking you to do a lot more than just read it.
Kirkman is asking you to bring a part of yourself to this. He's not just giving you, as he's done, as other other writers might do in other books. Again, he's not giving you a slugfest just for the sake of you sitting there and go, oh, wow, cool, wow, that head flew off, this happened, that happened.
Yeah, and it's not like, man, I'm falling behind. You really just need to churn out like a book without any dialogue just to get caught up again. No.
Because really, I mean, he could have done that, but then that falls on Ryan Ottley, which would have been unfair. I was really impressed with Ottley's performances in the beginning. Seeing what he puts together in this book here and what he invests in every page, it is amazing. And one of the great things about comic books is that you, as the reader, you control the pace of the story. You control how the artwork affects you. I love this because in space, I mean, I love how there are no. There's no onomatopoeia.
Yeah, that's something he's actually built up since the beginning of the issue because there's been a lot of stuff in space. Yeah, and that's
there's no sound in space, so you don't. They're up there in the vacuum of space fighting each other. Mm-hmm. No dialogue, no onomatopoeia. It's just the visuals itself.
He actually built upon that with with one of the other heroes who I hope will show up soon to help Invincible is Alan the Alien. And Alan the Alien can talk telepathically, and when they're in space, that's how they actually communicate because they can't talk. So there was like a whole issue or two where they were just talking in space, but it had to be like that because there's no sound in space.
So again, this is a really good book, and I know Invincible is one of Image's more well-known titles and one of its better-selling books. It's not a top 10 seller.
This book should sell.
But it really should
be
sell.
At the top of the industry easily. I
mean, is it a top 20 book?
No.
I don't think it's even a top 20 book.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to say, the more and more I read this book, the more and more real respect I have for Robert Kirkman. In that, first, the book comes out regularly. It's written really well. This book has been running for 60 issues. Things are really happening in that book, and
remember when we were talking about that word balloon interview with Jeff Loeb? How he puts down Kirkman because Kirkman sells 7,000 copies?
Yeah, something like that. And he lives in Tennessee
or Georgia, I think.
But
just making snide remarks about that, like you need to sell 150,000 copies. You need to be number one for the book to mean anything.
Right.
This book just proves that. This proves the fact that that's the cold reality.
The thing is, if the market determines what's a really good book, then I'm scared because there's stuff out there that because it's got the Marvel marketing machine behind it or the DC marketing machine behind it, it does really well. Because Robert Kirkman publishes this under the Image banner. He doesn't make any money off this. I mean, this is something he does for his love of the character. Anyone who does anything for Image, you don't get paid for it up front. You're doing this out of your own pocket. You're paying for that out of your own pocket. He's putting out some incredible work here. To me, I think it's just for the love of the genre.
And again, coming back to a retailer perspective, I cannot tell you how many people I've had to put this book in their hands and be like, you need to read this.
Right.
And got them to buy all 10 of the trades. I have three customers in the store who had talked about Invincible are going through the trades right now because after they read I got them to buy issue 60, and after they read the first two trades, they're like, they just need to read it. And that's one of the ways that this, or one of the few ways I think that this book is going to get up there, is people need to share their knowledge of this book with other people.
And this is, I wouldn't go so far to say it's a young reader's title, but you can share this book with teens. I think teens and up. It gets a little bloody, and sometimes the violence can be a wee bit graphic, but it's nothing worse than a lot of kids see on cable these days, and it's never anything gratuitous. Mm-hmm. It's a really good book to introduce, new comic readers to. It's just really well done. And, for all the crap that we might say that we need to see more books for all readers. We were talking about this in the past, I can see women reading this book, too. Mm-hmm. Because it's just so smartly written, and the characters are they're very three-dimensional. I think readers of all backgrounds and all sexes are going to enjoy this book, at all ages. Again, I wouldn't give this to a 9-year-old. Maybe, well, maybe a mature, like 11 or 12-year-old, because unless you have a parent that is uptight about their kids seeing violence. But this is really, it is, to me, what I think is what more books should be. Really more books should be.
I totally agree with that. I wish there was 100 more Invincibles in the industry.
Yeah, for those, who've watched this from the beginning, I was never the biggest Robert Kirkman fan in the beginning. I kind of felt like the guy was tooting his own horn. After reading this book, the guy really has a right to. He really has a right to toot his own horn. Because he is doing some top-notch work. And I'm jealous as all hell. I am. I'm really jealous. So, when I read Invincible, I go, God damn it, I wish I could write like that. So, who knows? Anything else? Read this book.
Read the book. If you are reading it, get somebody else into it.
Somebody.
Just do us a favor. Do yourself a favor. Do the industry a favor. And start spreading the gospel of Invincible.
The gospel.
Invincible will save the comic industry from itself.
He's the savior. All right. When we come back, we're going to get into some independence and other stuff that you've asked us to talk about. See you then.